Parashat Chukat. Oh, this is one of those narratives that we know so very well from our childhood. It's the Sedra where Moshe takes the stick and he hits the rock and it all falls apart for Moshe Rabbeinu. So we get stuck in that very childlike understanding of the narrative. But if we start looking at the Psukim, we see things that were overlooked when we were kids. And I want to share with you a couple of insights taken from Rav Samson Raphael Hirsch on this week's parasha. He draws our attention to the opening of the chapter. Vayavo b'nei Israel kol ha'edam midbar Tzin. They all came to the Tzin desert, b'chodesh harishon, in the first month. Vayeshev ha'am b'kadesh. Number one, the people thought, we'd arrived, we're on the border of the Holy Land. Hashem has brought us to the land. The years of wandering are over. Vayeshev, we're now settling. We're now dwelling. We're not just temporarily setting up our tents, but Vayeshev, this is a permanent place. We've got resources, everything is good. And we know that Midrash connects the death of Miriam to what happens next. There was no water to drink and everyone goes crazy. Vayikahalu ha'am, or the nation gather against Moshe and Aaron, and they say to him, why did you bring us here? Now we've had that before. When we came out of Mitzrayim, they again accused Moshe and Aaron, you brought us out of Egypt. No, Hashem, we saw God. He was back in Egypt. We saw the plagues. We know Hashem was manifest in Mitzrayim. But you brought us to this desert. There's no food. There's no water. They can't believe that if they've arrived so close to the promised land, that this disaster of not having any water would affect them. It must be that Moshe and Aaron have messed up somewhere along the journey. Hashem for sure wants their best interest, but it's Moshe and Aaron. Vayarev ha'am im Moshe. That same Vayeshev ha'am b'kadesh, vayarev ha'am im Moshe. The nation fighting with Moshe and complaining that you did it. And you know what's so interesting? They say, our brothers who died all these years since the catastrophe of the spies, they were lifnei Hashem. V'lu gavanu b'gvar achenu. Only we would have died like our brothers died. Lifnei Hashem. That was what Hashem wanted, but you have corrupted our lives. You've ruined our lives. God doesn't want this. You have done it. Why did you bring the nation to die? Even just for our animals, how can you be so cruel to torture helpless creatures? They're also dying of thirst. So Hashem says, take your stick. When he took the stick in his hand, they would realize, ooh, Moshe is being sent. This is a divine mission. He's not doing this on his own. But Hashem says to him, according to Rav Hirsch's interpretation, he says, don't you hit the rock. If you're hitting the rock, will give the impression that I've intervened, that there's a chaos. Maybe you caused it, but you've got the rock, you smacked the rock, and I'm intervening to save the day. No. You go and speak to the rock. V'natan meimav. The water's there. It's not that, God forbid, Moshe and Aaron made a mistake and brought the nation to this horrible place. Hashem brought you to the place. And you know what? The solution to your problem is already there. The rock will give the water that it wants to give, but you have to be brought here. What a deep, profound understanding of the story. We all go on journeys. We all have those moments of catastrophe where it's so simple to blame everybody else in our life. Obviously, you don't blame yourself. That's an obvious thing to say. But we blame other people. And this story, rather than showing us Moshe Rabbeinu's problems, the nation has problems here in not understanding the journey that Hashem takes you on. And most often, almost always, you could say that the solution to the problem is in the place that you have been brought. So it's never a calamity. Just speak to the rock and it will give its water. Whatever that rock, whatever that water means to you in that moment. Shabbat Shalom.